By the power of Grayskull, I have the power! That's right. Can you believe it's been 40 years since this childhood favorite of mine came out? Well, you better believe it, as I'm about to give you, hopefully, a revisited TV log. And it's on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the original 1983 series. This is a Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews TV log. Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I'm going to give you a TV log revisited. Now, despite I have tried to do, Saturday morning TV log revisited and fail because due to YouTube being so touchy, but I'm going to try yet again, but this time with a TV log. And this time it's going to be on a great show. One of my favorites when I was a young boy. I can't believe it's been 40 years since this first premiered on not major network television, but in syndication though. Anyway, after being introduced the previous year by Mattel Toys, Masters of the Universe became such a big name for their next toy line. Yes, Mattel, the company behind Barbie and Hot Wheels, gave us Masters of the Universe series, where it was just so incredible, and I gotta say, it was just so amazing, and it would give us a big hit animated series produced by the same guys who gave us the New Adventures of Superman, the Archie series, Fat Albert, and the animated Star Trek. Good old Filmation. So now, without further ado, I am proud to bring to you once more as I revisit He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was an action-packed animated series with action, adventure, sci-fi, fantasy, and all that stuff. Premiered on this day, September 26th in 1983. It was produced by Filmation and was seen exclusively in syndication, based on Mattel's Masters of the Universe toy line. Well, I will tell you that this was just one of the most popular animated shows of the 1980s, which I completely do agree. And I think it's just so incredible. One of the first of the many shows to be based off a toy line that came out. Of course, other shows followed, like G.I. Joe, the Transformers, and Rainbow Bride, Gem, and even a spin-off of this, She-Ra, Princess of Power, which I'll do a revisit of that show later on down the road. Anyway, the show was developed by one of the founders of Filmation, the late great Lou Scheimer, who was executive producer of the show. For most of the series, the production director was Hal Sutherland, who also directed most of Filmation's earlier shows, from the New Adventures of Superman to the Star Trek animated series. The show originally started out 40 years ago, as I've already mentioned. Now, although it premiered a few weeks before that, on September 5th of that year in the UK. Now, the show actually ran for 65 episodes in its first season, just like Inspector Gadget, which premiered a few weeks before this. Anyway, now the series takes place on a planet of magic, myth, and fantasy known as Eternia. Its lead character is Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of the mysterious Castle Grayskull, and also the young son to the rulers of Eternia, King Randor and Queen Marlena. He's got many allies. Well, mostly it's his cowardly pet tiger of a friend, Cringer. Now, Fabulous' secret powers were revealed to Adam once he holds the magic sword of power and yells, "By the power of Grayskull," and thus becomes He-Man, and then yells, "I have the power!" And using the sword's magic, turns the cowardly Cringer into the mighty Battle Cat. And thus, Adam becomes He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only three others share the secret: the Sorceress of Grayskull, Man-at-Arms, and Orko, who is the comic relief of the series. Along with other allies, including Man-at-Arms' adopted daughter, Teela, Ram Man, Stratos, and a host of others, they help He-Man defend Castle Grayskull and Eternia from the evil forces of the bony-faced Skeletor and his warriors, ranging from characters like Evil Lyn, Beastman, Trapjaw, Whiplash, and many, plus a lot of others. Skeletor's main goal is to conquer Castle Grayskull, from which He-Man draws his powers. If successful, Skeletor would have enough power to rule all of Eternia and possibly the entire universe. Anyway, the show was a big success, despite parents' works going out against violence in kids' shows at the time. And it was often considered the most successful animated series ever made by Filmation, as it was created to promote hyper-consumerism in children. It left itself vulnerable to criticism. Now, many parent groups were also critical of what they saw as the show's homoeroticism. But that's understandable. The series' music and score was done by Shuki Levy and Haim Saban, who also worked on the music for Inspector Gadget as well as The Littles, also debuted in the same year. And they also worked on the Mr. T cartoon from Ruby Spears, which also came out the same year. Now then, the next year in '84, a soundtrack album was released in France and Argentina by CBS, featuring music from the series and an adaptation of A Friend in Need on the French release, and Diamond Ray of Disappearance in an Argentine release. Now, of course, those were episodes. Diamond Ray of Disappearance was actually the fourth episode to be produced, but was the first episode to be aired. Anyway, this show was so incredible. Now, of course, He-Man was introduced in 1982, and, well, the franchise backstory was developed by Filmation. Well, Michael Halperin wrote a series Bible, and sometime after, both firms pitched the idea to ABC, who hadn't aired anything from the studio since the mid-'70s, since they had a big disappointment with Uncle Croc's block. So, and they even tried the others. I mean, NBC hadn't aired anything from the studio since 1982 had come to an end with the Kid Superpower, which is them, and CBS just more recently stopped doing it after Gilligan's Planet, although they were continuing to re-air Fat Albert at the time. So, the show debuted in syndication and was the first syndicated show to be based on a toy. It was seen on 120 US stations and in more than 30 countries. Yes, I do remember watching this. It aired on my ABC affiliate. Despite the limited animation techniques that were used to produce the series, the show was notable for breaking boundaries of censorship that had severely restricted the narrative scope of children's TV programming in the '70s. For the first time since Ruby Spears' Thundarr the Barbarian, a cartoon series could feature a muscular superhero who was actually allowed to hit people, although he more typically used wrestling-style moves rather than actually punching enemies, though he still could not use his sword often. More often than not, He-Man opted to pick up his opponents and toss them away rather than hit them. The show was controversial in that it was produced in connection with marketing a line of toys. Advertising to children itself was itself controversial during this period. But that was understandable. The series, of course, also featured, well, a little bit of a moral at the end, or sort of like a PSA, kind of similar to, well, like what Inspector Gadget had to offer. However, unlike that show and shows that were produced by Deke, that aired in syndication, He-Man series actually provided a moral for the, well, for the episode itself, similar to what they had done with other shows they did before this, including Shazam: The Secrets of Isis and The New Adventures of Batman. It is also noted for featuring early script writing work from J. Michael Straczynski, who of course would later go on to create Babylon 5, plus Brian Stephens and Paul Dini, who of course would later go on to work on Batman the Animated Series. Now, Dini, of course, was no stranger to working at Filmation because he had recently worked on, well, episodes of Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, as well as a couple of Quackula tunes from the New Adventures of Mighty Mouse and Heckle and Jekyll, Shazam, a few Shazam cartoons in the Kids Superpower Hour with Shazam, and also even wrote stuff for rival studios like Ruby Spears and Hanna-Barbera. Let's see. Beast Wars story editor Larry DiTilio was one of them, and David Wise, later the head writer of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the real Ghostbusters, was even a part of the team. So, the show was just so incredible. It went on for a second season in 1984 with a few more episodes, and then another one in 1985, even though that was when they premiered their show. Filmation released their next series, She-Ra, Princess of Power. Well, now the show actually did run for 3 seasons overall, but in ways, but not completely. Anyway, after a total of 130 episodes were produced and aired, the show ended. But however, it continued in reruns. In the mid 80s, if I'm not mistaken, in 1988, the USA Network bought the rights to the series and aired it until 1990. But after that, the show had never been seen again. Everybody had been wanting to get it back on TV for years, until maybe about 2009 or 2010, the show actually returned to TV on Lucan Communications Retro TV network. But it's no longer playing there, and it's also been shown on the Cubo block, and also it has been released on home media. Originally, when it was released during its run, showing, it was released on home video numerous times by RCA Columbia Pictures Home Video. In 2005, Navarrete Corporation's BCI Eclipse, under its Ink and Paint subsidiary, under license from former owner Entertainment Rights, which is now under license at Classic Media, which is now under license at DreamWorks, which is now DreamWorks Classics, affiliated with Universal, actually released 4 separate sets, 2 volumes for the first season and 2 for the second. Those sets are hard to find, and they're out of print and what have you. I actually have those, along with a best of set. In 2010, Mill Creek actually acquired it and released it as well, commemorating the 30th anniversary. But after that went out of print. But in 2019, which was right about the time I did my original TV log of the series, Universal re-released the whole series together, which included the 2 specials with She-Ra, the feature film The Secret of the Sword, and He-Man She-Ra, A Christmas Special. It's also been released in Australia as well, but it's been out but have been out, but it's been out of print. Well, 4 volume sets, but a complete series box set was released in Australia, and that's still available. It also got released on the UMD disc for the PlayStation Portable as well, but it was best of episodes though. Anyway, I've loved watching this show as a kid, and growing up, I got to when I finally got to see it on DVD. That's when I got to watch it, and it brought back all those great memories. Now we have various voice actors. Now, first up, voicing Prince Adam and He-Man is John Irwin, who most people as might remember him voicing Reggie Male in Filmation's Archie series. But he was also best known for voicing Morris the Cat in the 9 Lives commercials. Yes, like the cat food, 9 Lives. He also voiced Ram Man, Beast Man, Webstore, Whiplash, and others, including Faker and Grandmere, which was a big dragon. Alan Oppenheimer voiced Cringer and Battlecat and Skeletor. Now, of course, doing Skeletor, of course, Oppenheimer did Skeletor in the same kind of style he did, in the same way he did for the voice of Royal King Harry in the New Adventures of Mighty Mouse and Ming the Merciless in Flash Gordon, of course, also from Filmation. He also voiced Man-at-Arms, Merman, Buzz-Off, Roboto, and several others. Producer Lou Scheimer, who went under the pseudonym Eric Gunnan, voiced Orko, King Randor, Stratus, Manny Faces, Mechanic, Zodiac, Fisto, Trapjaw, Triclops, Cobra Khan, Clawful, Spycore, Tube Band, Modulok, and several other characters. Too many to mention. The late great Linda Gary, who recently did voice acting on Tarzan and also Black Star, where she voiced Mara, the Enchantress. Voices Tila, as well as Evil Lyn, and the Sorceress, plus a lot of others. There was also Lou Scheimer's own daughter, Erica, lending her voice to female characters, and George Asenzo, who would later voice Hordak and She-Ra, also was a voice actor, but he was uncredited though. So anyway, yeah, He-Man the Masters of the Universe is a great show, and I really do enjoy it. Here, let me go ahead and give you a look at some stuff. Here's a little bit of art that was used. This was actually the cover art for the Best of set. You can see some of these characters. I'm sure a lot of you who grew up with the show know who they are. Now, let me tell you about one of my few favorite characters on the show, and that's Orko. He's a kooky little wizard that comes from another dimension called Trala. Well, while his magic does work well there, but on Eternia, well, it causes disastrous results for a lot of people. Well, for a lot of the characters, especially Man-at-Arms, who really doesn't like him fooling around his workroom and what have you, as you'll see. But anywho, I think it's really good, and I'm really glad that He-Man, the Masters of the Universe, was just so incredible. I really think you should give it a watch if you haven't already. Now, you can find full episodes on YouTube and what have you. The show has been featured on other streaming services. It used to be on Prime, but it isn't anymore. And I believe it was on Tubi, and I know it was also on Peacock, but they don't have them no more. But however, you can find several episodes on YouTube. There are a few episodes. There's some episodes available on the Masters of the Universe YouTube channel. You can find episodes there if you'd like. Anyway, I think this was just such an incredible show, and it has great characters. It would later go on to get a comic book series as well as a live-action feature with Dolph Lundgren as He-Man and Frank Langella as Skeletor, which I will be reviewing in a couple days. And and then there in 1990, I believe it was. Wait a minute, hang on. Sorry, everyone. Let's see. Well, I just know it was. It's hard to explain. Well, I think it was 1989 or 1990 when he got a second series called The New Adventures of He-Man. I haven't really watched the show. I mean, and then of course in 2002, Cartoon Network's Toonami block got a prequel series produced by Mike Young Productions. More recently, in 2021, an adult Netflix series called Masters of the Universe Revelation was released, and it was announced as a direct sequel to the series. Director Kevin Smith later admitted the series is not set in the same continuity as the original, but described it as a spiritual sequel to the Filmation series. I totally agree and what have you. And it aired for 10 episodes, and they're currently developing a sequel series called Masters of the Universe Revolution. So I hope for the best this turns out to be a good one. We'll see. But anyway, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Great show, great characters. If you've seen this show, then you know what I'm talking about. But and I think you might want to let your youngsters watch it, but watch it with them. Because I don't want to encourage them to cause, well, I think you get the point. But anyway, what did you think of He-Man: The Masters of the Universe? I'm sure a lot of you have watched it, and if you have, let me know what you thought about what you think of the show in the comment section below. If you liked the video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me next time when I bring to you a spoiler-free review of the new Hulu sci-fi horror film called No One Will Save You. So, if you like this, consider checking out these other videos. And in the upper left-hand corner are 2 Saturday morning TV logs for shows that are kind of like our precursors to He-Man. In the upper left-hand corner is the Saturday morning TV log on Thundarr the Barbarian from 1980. The upper right-hand corner is the Saturday morning TV log on Black Star, which was also from Filmation from 1981. Or if you'd like, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my recent TV log on Inspector Gadget. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.